What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I've got another computer video for you guys on an early 2000s Mac here. This is another computer that I have recently picked up. As some of you might know, if you watched my previous video, I went to the Vintage Computer Festival West a few weeks ago, and I met a lot of cool people. Me and Chris went to the event, and we had a really good time, but we met some people that have some connections in the older Mac world, and so this is a computer that I recently picked up from one of them. Now, of course, as a lot of you may know, I do have a Power Mac G4 Cube over there. It's one of my favorite machines in my collection, and because of these new friends that I got, I was looking for a CPU upgrade card for it, because that thing just has a 450 megahertz G4 7400, not very fast, and of course I met somebody else at VCF that had a cube that was upgraded to 1.8 gigahertz, so I was definitely looking to do some upgrades to the cube in both the CPU and RAM department. And so I put out a feeler in Discord for our vintage Apple shenanigans, and I was looking for just a faster CPU card for it. And the guy that I got this computer from said, hey, you know, I have a Power Mac G4 Sawtooth. It's the same architecture as the Cube, and it has a 1.5 gigahertz G4 upgrade card in it, which you actually might be able to see right over here. I have taken it out, and there it is. Now, he made it a condition that not only did I have to buy the card, I had to buy the computer that it came in. So that's what we're looking at here. This is, like I said, a Power Mac G4 Sawtooth. This is the very first iteration of the Power Mac G4. This one came out in 1999, I believe shortly before the G4 Cube that came out in 2000. And these machines here are the exact same architecture. So they are the original PowerPC G4 7400. And like I said, this machine came out in 1999, and of course the Power Mac G4 ran all the way until 2003 when the Power Mac G5 came out. It was the first to use this kind of curvy acrylic case design. Of course, the Power Macintosh G3 was a beige box, and I actually picked up another one of those as well. As you can see, we have a Power Mac G3 desktop, and so this is the computer that directly preceded this one behind us here. And of course there was also the Power Mac G3 blue and white, which was actually the first to use this case design, so my bad. But anyway, the color scheme has been changed from that machine, and here it is. It's in pretty decent shape, as you can see, and this thing was actually really nicely kitted out when I got it, and I've done some small downgrades because I intend to use those parts in my cube. I really want to make the cube a lot better than it is right now, but we will get to that. But like I said, this thing is in pretty good shape. Of course, it doesn't really have any cracks or anything like that on it. It's got a couple of scuffs. You can see there are some scuffs on the side and whatnot. But honestly, for being an almost 23-year-old computer, this thing's in pretty decent shape. As you can see, we have this graphite-colored front here. I actually like the way these things look. Of course, it does look old compared to like the mirror drive door model that came out later, but I do like the way it goes, or the way it looks. And then, of course, here we have our optical drive, and then this is actually a 100 megabyte zip drive, so that's kind of cool. We've got a speaker, of course, like all Power Mac G4s have, the power button, and I believe that's the reset and interrupt switch, I believe, so that's kind of interesting. So there you go. Like I said, this thing's in pretty decent shape. It was a little bit dirty when I got it, but I've done a full cleanup on it, and I actually took these acrylic handles off and washed them in the sink, because especially this one was just really, really gross. So I also wiped the whole tower down with alcohol, so it's looking as good as it's going to get. But yeah, going around the side, I'll go ahead and flip it around to the back. And we'll take a look back here. Now, like I said, this is the first iteration of the Power Mac G4, and it's unlike the MDD, which is based on actually the Xserve platform, so that's kind of like more like a server computer, but this one, like I said, is of course not that model, so it does have a normal style power supply, which is nice. We've got two FireWire 400s here, a 10100, I believe, Ethernet, or it might just be 10 base T. I'm not 100% sure on that. We've got two USB. I presume these are 1.1 because of the age of this computer. And then we have a line in and a headphone out. And if we look here, you can see this is the original configuration of the machine. Of course, it's heavily upgraded from this, but that's what it shipped with originally. And down here, as you can see, we have a video card and a 4-port USB card, so that's actually nice to have, especially on these old machines where I use both of these ports for the keyboard and mouse. Here we have, it looks like a little slot for a lock, so that's kind of cool. You can lock this, so I presume the side panel cannot be opened. But yeah, there you go. Going around the other side, as you can see, it's in pretty good shape as well. I'll go ahead and flip it sideways and we can open it up and take a look at the actual hardware inside the machine. So these things were cool because, of course, the whole side flips down and you can get access to pretty much everything. The blue and white Power Mac G3 was the first to do this after Steve Jobs came back to the company. But yeah, here we are. As you can see, we have the motherboard. Now, like I said, I did remove that 1.5 gigahertz G4 upgrade card, which is actually an OWC deal, so that's cool. And of course, I needed something to put back in here, and so I went on eBay and I got this dual 500 megahertz G4 card, which is a configuration that originally came in these towards the end of the run, I believe, in 2000. They came out with a model that had 2 G4s on one card. So this is actually now the most powerful original configuration that these Sawtooths would have came with, so that's nice. Like I said, there we have a power supply and a case fan down here. I think this fan is actually an intake. It intakes air from the back, and then I imagine the power supply does all the exhaust. And then, yeah, as you can see, this power supply is only 237 watts, so oh, how far we've come. Down here, like I said, we have our motherboard with our CPU card. We've got 896 megs of RAM. This thing actually had about 1.6, so it had 3 512 megabyte sticks and a 128. The 128's still in here, but these other 2 sticks are from my cube, so I took those 3 sticks out of here and I put them in my cube, so now the cube is maxed out at 1.5 gigahertz. So this one now has 896 because it has a 128, a 256, and a 512 in there. So there you are. That's how you come up with that. And then over here, as you can see, we have our video card. I believe this is some kind of NVIDIA. I think it's a GeForce 2 Twin View or something like that. Pretty close to the GeForce 2 MX that's in the cube. So there you have it. As you can see, it is AGP. They did make an original version of this machine that did have PCI, but they only made that for, I believe, 6 or 8 months or something like that until they updated it with this one. And the Sawtooth is the more sought after model. The first AGP model was not great, but anyhow, moving on, we have that Belkin USB card here. That's actually pretty nice to have. I'll probably end up keeping that in here. And then as for the drives, we have an 80 gigabyte Western Digital, but that was not the only drive in here. It actually had 2 80 gigabyte drives and a 20 gig, but I ended up removing them. The 20 gigabyte was having some issues. Of course, it's an old Quantum Fireball, so not the most reliable. And then the other one was an 80 gig Seagate that I just pulled out because I have more use for it in another computer that I may purchase down the line. So it just has that one Western Digital 80 gig now. But that is pretty much it for the hardware overview. This is a DVD RW drive, so that's nice to have. And of course, like I said, that zip drive down there. So this thing was really, really kitted out when I got it. And it still is pretty high-end, you know, for one of these. So that's kind of nice. And as you can see, this thing does have an airport card in it. Of course, my network is too new now, so it can't connect because it doesn't support the proper like WPA2 encryption and all of that. That's obviously probably only a G card at the best. It might even be 802.11b. I'm not 100% sure. This is really, really early into the Wi-Fi era. So there you go. That's pretty much a complete overview of the hardware. So now I will go ahead and plug the machine in and we'll take a look at some of the software on it. All right, it's all plugged in. Let's go ahead and fire it up. This thing doesn't bong. I'm not 100% sure why, but perhaps it has to be plugged into external speakers. I don't know. But here we are at the Dell-themed setup here. Unfortunately, I don't have... I do actually have the Apple keyboard and mouse for this, but I figured the Dell peripherals are a little bit nicer. So, it is dual booted. This thing is running 10.4.11 Tiger, which is the latest officially supported version, and it also has macOS 9.2.2 on it. So, it is dual booted, like I said. Now, the clock battery, of course, is missing, so it's just kind of the way it goes. I'm going handheld for this video. You're going to just have to deal with it. So, let's go ahead and go into About This Mac. As you can see here, like I said before, we have that dual 500 megahertz G4 card. We have 896 megs of RAM, and if I go into the system profiler here, I can actually tell you guys what the video card is. Maybe. Let's go ahead and graphics. Okay, yeah, so it is a GeForce 2 MX with Twin View, and all the Twin View is just, it has dual monitor support, so that was, I guess, pretty serious for 1999 or 2000, whenever this thing came out. And like I said, it does, or like I forgot to mention, it does have 64 megabytes of built-in RAM, so video RAM, that is. So that's pretty much it. There's not much on here. Actually, I do think there are a couple of applications that we can look at. The previous owner did leave some stuff on here. Let me go ahead and just enlarge these icons a little bit here. There we go. That's more normal. Alright, so as you can see, we have Adobe Reader 8. We have AppleWorks 6, which is basically just an office suite. We've got Burn, which is a nice utility. We have this checkbook app, and all that really is just a digital checkbook. So you can keep track of the checks you've written. I'm not sure what this clipboard thing is. I tried to run it, didn't really do anything. We've got the original iLife suites. We've got, iPhoto, iMovie, and all that good stuff. We got a solitaire game. We got iWork 08, so keynote numbers and pages. That's kind of neat. It seems like the last time this thing was used was in the late 2000s, so there you are. We got a couple of other apps in here. This is Sunrise. That's a web browser specifically tailored towards web developers, so perhaps that's what they were doing with this machine, I don't know. And VLC. We even have Windows Media Player, which is kind of interesting, but yeah, that's pretty much it for Mac OS X, to be honest. I'm not going to draw too much time on it, but I will go ahead and restart this thing into Mac OS 9 for you guys so we can take a look at that. There we go. Alright, let's restart. Alright, it looks like we're loaded in. Not sure what happened to my control strip down here, but, we'll keep it moving. As you can see, we've got macOS 9.2 on here as well. I pulled this install, or folder rather, from the Cube's hard drive, so that was the easiest way to get it on here, but, of course I did want to go ahead and do a dual boot situation on this machine. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. There's literally nothing on here, so I'm not going to waste your guys' time. But there you have it. We are dual booted, and she does work pretty good. So with that said, that's going to pretty much wrap it up for the video on this Power Mac G4 Sawtooth here. That's one of the 3 computers that I recently picked up. Of course, I already did a video on that PowerBook G4 back there, and I may end up doing more videos. I got this Dell Dimension 4100 also over here. I already have a video on one of these because I did have one a while back, so I'll probably skip that. But I also have this Power Mac G3, like I mentioned, the G3 desktop here, so that may get its own video. But anyways, that's going to about do it for now. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.